Well, welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. Another pound of ground beef down and back with some magic internet money business because today's perhaps a very big day as far as what we're looking at on the higher time frames. A lot of higher time frames closing day, of course, daily as always, and then 3-day as well, which I am looking for to kind of set in the longer term trajectory. So we actually could have some pretty massive signals being given off within the next hour and 20 minutes. So I'm going to hopefully get this one out in time, but I try to time this one up and line it up with around the daily close, just because there is going to likely be a lot of drama surrounding around that. And can really, enhance and clarify the longer term and macro term picture as Bitcoin hinting at the door once again, hitting at the door once again. And with that all said, I do want to wish you well. I do want to wish you the best, and the happiest of the happiest. As always, just wishing well, because why fucking not, man? It's free to do. And if just everyone just wished each other well, then this world would probably be a better place. Anyways, without further ado, let's get a live stream right here, right now. No teleportation to be initiated, except for, yes, there it is, found it. Dealing with some new softwares right now, and back into the live stream right on over here as I do deal with a little bit of technical difficulties. But starting off with the daily, there's a couple things that really stand out to me right here. First and foremost is that red 10 moving average crossing to the upside of that yellow 21 exponential moving average right on over here. This has been a pretty damn good indication for medium to long-term trend identification, as when we do see the red 10 symbol get above the yellow 21, naturally, you know that a lower period above a higher period would incite that the trend is kind of strengthening to the upside right here. And especially coming out of this nice little base on price action from the daily perspective, I would say that would line up with some, with carry on over, more importantly, into our higher time frames, which is really going to matter here. And second and most, if you want to say it like that, it's the 3-day that I'm really concerned with. Well, not necessarily concerned with, but that I'm keeping an intentful eye on right now, as this one will be closing later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We do see a change in behavior based on the volume narrative, or sorry, not based on the volume narrative, but based on the volume signature right over here on Stamp. You do see volume is ticking up once again, and we have broken this kind of trend line on the volume, which, do the trend lines on the volume need to be exactly right? No, but I just want to show that before it was a very obvious consolidation kind of coming in down around here. We have this very kind of low volume-esque region as Bitcoin reaccumulates right here. And as Bitcoin resolves it to the upside, volume increasing, which is exactly what you want to see, but we're not there just yet. I want to be very adamant in saying that while I am going to be talking about a lot of hopium type bullshit, and I think it is warranted, it is not confirmed as of right now just yet. Still have to wait for, at the very least, this next 3-day to kind of set itself in stone. But what I'm waiting for here is I'm waiting for the close to kind of confirm if we actually do get the 3-day Stokes to cross the upside. Why is this important to me? Why I'm even paying attention? Well, if we see the 3-day Stokes actually confirm to the upside, which will happen in 1 hour and 20 minutes, as long as we close anywhere above about 11.5, 11.6, I'd imagine. And as you can see right here at 11.9, it's almost 12,000. It's certainly going to cross the upside. But not only that, we do see 3-day RS actually getting back above the exponential as well. And this would confirm this as a bullish consolidation right here, just oscillating between the bullish control zone and the neutral zone. In fact, firmly rejecting from the neutral zone and back upwards and onwards as we trend once again above the exponential on this. If we can actually reach into the bullish control zone, that would be my next big signal of what I want to see for follow through from here. But before I get too sidetracked on my own volitions right now, it's a 3-day Stokes just the 3-day in general that I have a lot of intentful eye on, because we do see the 3-day Stokes wanted to cross the upside, which, as we said, will be confirmed later tonight in about an hour and 20 minutes at 8 p.m. Eastern time. If we can actually, as long as we stay here. And of course, we've all seen crazier things, and what about like a $500 move over the span, over the span of an hour? We've seen fucking, $300 moves done in the span of 1 minute. If you were around during November, or I think was it November or October of last year of 2018. Anyways, I want to match that up with the 2-day digital time frame right on over here, which we actually already do see 2-day digital Stokes extremely erect right on over here. In fact, they're going to be confirming outside of the bearish control zone for the first time in about a couple weeks right on over here. But more importantly, and what I really want to match this up and kind of bring everything full circle to, is I want to talk about the 3-day in relation to the 2-day and also the daily by the nature of it. And we actually are going to see if the 3-day does confirm later tonight, we're going to see the 2-day and the 3-day coming from the same area, and actually the daily as well. Why is this important? Why am I paying attention to this? Well, because very rarely do we actually get all of these timeframes on the same direction. In fact, it very rarely happens. I'd say maybe 3 to 4 times a year at most. The last time that we actually saw them all get on the same area, all get on the same side from the same posturing on the Stokes, was back on around around here from early February of 2019. As you can see, here's your 2-day just turning around at the same time, right around the 4th of February. If we go to the daily, we do see that the daily was turning around right over here on the 5th of February, about a day later. And then the 3-day was actually, believe about 1 tick later after that. Yeah, the 9th of February right here, confirming to the upside. So of course, naturally, the 3-day is going to take a little bit longer, but more importantly, they all got on the same side. And then this massive price action exploded over the course of the next 6 months or so. So that's kind of what I'm looking for coming out of this space right over here. If we can get all of those guys in the same area, I'd say that this is, this would be this would very, 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 very likely operate as a phenomenal consolidation, nice little falling wedge right here, and then being resolved to the upside, which I do believe, looking at the volume signature, is quite likely to happen. I do want to talk about that falling wedge just for a second. I fucking hate wedges overall, but I think that this one is warranted as it actually does work out, and I think it perhaps best works out on maybe like a 2-day or is it a daily, something like that. Any one of these higher time frames, really, realistically speaking, it should line up. But yeah, something like this would be about right. I guess I already have it charted out on over here. Do I want to delete everything here? Yeah, let's delete everything. We can just redo the whole thing. But yeah, looking at this as a falling wedge, we actually already did hit the measure move on it, something like this. And I believe that was the tick up to about 12.3, 12.4. Yeah, 12.2 actually right on over here. So we already hit that area. We got our first kind of sell off from it. And now Bitcoin being resilient within this region is a good sign overall, as we do see momentum also to start to turn back around once again, or I guess maybe better seen on a 3-day right here. And then we do see 3-day RSI kind of falling through as well. And then not only that, but we actually do see daily historical volatility percentile starting to tick up once again. Sorry, no, it's still downtrending running over here, which is what you would expect to see. But more importantly, with the lower timeframes, we're starting to see it tick up once again. So the lower timeframes, as we approach a major, massive, critical region, starting to tick up, coming from a very, 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 very low side, while the higher timeframes actually cooling off, is what you'd expect to see coming out of a major macro consolidation, while the lower timeframes start to resolve it to the upside. And you're seeing this right here. And again, the last time that we actually even saw historical volatility percentile in the 4-hour get anywhere this low was quite literally, again, it happens very rarely, but quite literally right on over here, in March and then February, a couple times in the past year. But for the most part, doesn't happen all that much, and usually precedes some pretty massive spikes in price action, as this is a mean reverted indicator, right? It's designed to explode, it's designed to contract and also explode. And right now in the lower time frames, we're seeing it looking like it wants to tick up, looking like it wants to turn to the upside. So I'd say that is quite important right now. Anyways, matching these all up, we could very well see this actually confirmed later tonight, which is why I'm putting on why I really am watching this one with an intent fly. But does that mean that Bitcoin's immediately just going to explode to the upside once we get that close? No, of course not. It's, when we're talking about macro type stuff, this is a macro type event right here. Usually going to take months for it to actually transpire, but I would say that it would really kind of cement in my conviction that this price action right here is likely to lead on to a test of our prior all-time high at $20,000 sometime between now and the end of the year, most likely. I know that's a little bit more moon boy than the kind of shit that I like to talk about, but to be fair, it is warranted, as we are seeing tentacles actually line up with this. Not only that, but we looked at the daily, 2-day, and 3-day, and they're interplay with each other. And of course, so the lower time frames as well. But I think it's also warranted to speak about the weekly, which the weekly, of course, just basically like 2-3 days in a sense. Looking at this right on over here, we did have a pretty damn good close on the last weekly, but more importantly, actually on CMEs, we did see that the red 10 symbol was very clearly defended. More importantly, with that is indicative of a very strong trend to the upside. Usually you want to see things actually come down to your LA21 exponential moving average, which is quite healthy and par for the course essentially on your retracements during an overall uptrend, and and on your downtrends typically sell off on there, like you saw right on over here. But during very, 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 very strong trends, you do see things actually run off the red 10 simple. So this is actually a good signal here. More importantly, we do see in kind of like combining the CMEs and GBTC charts, what I think are the more legitimate charts for Bitcoin. We actually see GBTC with the bullish engulfing doodle on the weekly as well, in continuation after a little bit of a gap fill, which we had I think it was like a day and a half ago, something like that. But more importantly, I want to carry this on over into spot now, because spot doesn't look as strong in the weekly. It looks good, to be fair. It does look good. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't look as impressive as like a bullish engulfing on a GBTC or what we saw on CMEs, which actually never even broke the red 10 simple. As you can see right on over here, we clearly clearly broke it. Anyways, with the weekly, we're actually going to see the weekly turnaround as well if Bitcoin can close likely anywhere here or higher by Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Now, of course, this is going to take, time, just by the nature of it, time, right? But if we get the 3-day headed on into that direction, then that's just going to, provide the downstream effects where, it's going to carry on over into a higher time frame like this. And realistically, what we want to see, especially at the edge of the bullish control zone right here, is a signature similar to what we saw right over here during the run of 2017, essentially, where Bitcoin just kind of oscillated between the critical bull zone and then just the edge of the lower end of the bullish control zone right over here. And this is very, very good. This is what you expect from your Stokes during strong trending moves. And as you can see, this was the whole of 2017, literally going all the way from about $1,000 literally to $20,000 price per Bitcoin. So this, if we do get picked up right around here, that would be another good signal that we're likely going to try to do something like this, which would align with this whole consolidation really being resolved to the upside and starting to like actually trend again, trend hard once again in the way that Bitcoin really can. But we're still, again, I can't repeat this enough. We're still not quite there just yet. There's still plenty of things that can go wrong, but Bitcoin is closer than it's ever been in the past year and a half as I reach for my water because I'm damn thirsty right now. Just 1 second, please. Motherfucker, I forgot to fill it up. Jesus Christ, man, it's going to be a long video. Well, I'll try to keep this one shorter, except every time they say that, that wall just got 10 feet higher, baby. Anyways, back onto the charts. I do want to talk about that just briefly because, it always can lead on over into something bigger. And when we actually already have the monthly pointed in the same direction, all of these things, we're really just waiting for them to all get on the same side. And that's typically when these moves do transpire. So looking at the monthly right here, we do see that monthly Stokes are well out of the bearish control zone for the first time in over a year. This is exactly the point in the last bear market to bull market reversal where we really did start to get gain momentum from this area right here at about $400 in December 2015 all the way to the high at $2,000 or sorry, $2,000, $20,000, a little bit more impressive a few years later. Not only that, but monthly RSI working its way into the bullish control zone and actually and staying steady within there. That's a damn good signal as well. So I would say that putting all the puzzle pieces together, this is shaping up to be good on the higher time frames, on the macro time frames. Really just timing this next major massive move most likely. Looking at the Trollinger bands on this time frame as well. To me, this is a damn good setup right here. Whenever you see things grind near the top band or even the bottom band, it's usually setting up to actually trend in that direction. Similar to what you saw right over here. Everything starts to kind of just glide up and grind up towards the top Trollinger band, and then we actually start to push it to the upside, and that's your strong trending move essentially. And you can see that Bitcoin had its first test right on over here, then a little bit of profit taking during last month, but we never people who are looking at this as a top, I just do not agree with that. That is not my interpretation of this dildo right here. This is not a spinning top dildo. This is just a little bit of a profit taking consolidation dildo. We have to take out the high or the low of the prior, and realistically, it's just kind of holding within the range, actually near the top side of the range, near the top side of this area in the on what's it called on the Trollinger bands, which would imply that there is upside pressure is what I'm really trying to get to as I struggle with my words once again. Anyways, that's kind of what I'd be looking for, but this is a monthly, so it's going to take months and months for it to really show itself. But we do see what we would expect to see, and more importantly, we're really just a few closes on some higher time frames away from getting all these guys on the same side. Granted that no major massive downside move actually happens. So let's now go to the lower time frames because I've been spoken a bit about them. In fact, I should probably start off with the lower time frames just because, well, I feel like most people actually care more about those. Which fair enough, you can trade any one of these time frames and make a fine living. But looking at the 4 hour right here, Bitcoin being very resilient in this area. Remember, coming up to this region right over here, we did hit the measure move off this as a what's it called, a falling wedge, and that was right around 12.3, 12.4 region. We came all the way back down to our target at 12.4, or sorry, 11.4 right here, which was yesterday, held up above the yellow 21. We spoke about this on yesterday's uploaded video during the evening, and we ended up holding above it. So my play there was, as long as we're above it, that's fine. Just buy into it. Or of course, it's not finished advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but you can see how things just start to cradle them and run them back up to the upside right on over here. And as long as we're kind of operating above this blue box territory, I do believe that it's appropriate to be both short, medium, and long-term bullishly biased. Speaking of, I didn't even show my fucking trades here. My God, I'm basically just running with the same positions right here. These December futures are kind of doing the bulk of the work at about 400,000 contracts, running a little bit over a 9 Bitcoin profit and about 18.5 Bitcoin profit for this whole position here. But this is a position that I've been running for the past, Jesus Christ, man, 6 months. these perps were put on when price action was like 39.30, and then I fucked up the entry a few times by accidentally putting in orders on that one as well. But that's more of an ego thing. At the end of the day, is the effective entry is still very much 39.30, just like this one is 51.50ish region. So I've been holding those ones for a while, and then letting these December futures do the work, which realistically has been quite an easy trade actually. As soon as Bitcoin got back above the yellow 21 exponential moving average right on over here, that's kind of my signal to be holding that for medium and long term. So again, just letting the price action kind of do the work right on over here. As we all the moving averages kind of resolve themselves out and all the higher time frames kind of get in line, just a little bit of a waiting game, but I do believe that we are getting closer and closer there. And like I did say at the beginning of this video, one of the big things for me here, and it probably went by subtly, is that red 10 symbol across the upside of the yellow 21. If you do recall, or if you have watched my technical analysis 101 series, which is 100% free to use and free to view for anyone out there, the playlist is in the description of, or sorry, in the playlists of my channel, I guess is the way to describe it. There is a strategy that talks about more long-term daily type trading, which is based upon the red 10 symbol, the yellow 21. And realistically, it's certainly not perfect, but when things are trending, it gets things more or less well. So we can actually just briefly go on over it right on over here. Actually, whoops, wrong one. There we go, and take off this guy as well. There we go, and we can actually kind of backtest this one, and you can see that there are going to be some false signals here and there. The last time that we got a bullish cross was right on over here, and that actually did carry us up all the way until about $8,000. So that took us from about $3,500 to about $8,000. Then we had a little bit of drama right here, but crossed back up to the upside once again once things were ready to trend, more importantly. And that's kind of what we're doing right now here as well. So and of course, across to the downside, actually got this last move to the downside as well. So that is also why I was not really looking to be long right over there. So yes, we are actually seeing that transpire. And I would say that is just overall a generally good signal. To the downside, it works just as well to the downside. As you can see right on over here, Bitcoin just massive nosedive after we get the bearish cross. During more consolidation sideways periods, it does not do too well. It's only during strong trending moves is when it's really designed. So Bitcoin really starting to lift off right now. And this is what I was hoping for, kind of doing this video a little bit later than I typically like to record these. So hopefully we can actually catch some legitimate price action. Again, this is still just low time frame bullshit here. It's interesting. It's heading in the right direction, but we're not there just yet. So do not let just like we don't want to be perma bears or perma bulls. Don't let the fucking don't let the cheerleaders from each side from either side kind of dissuade you. Nothing's been resolved as of just yet. It's getting damn close though. So what I'm going to do right on over here is talk about a couple ways of kind of judging this, I suppose you could say. The first way and probably the less sophisticated way would be doing it like this with the dildo wicks, which I'm not a big fan of, but it actually does get this one quite well. And if we actually did get a wick above about 12.3, or basically just even above yesterday's daily dildo high, I'd say that would probably be good enough for continuation for me. However, what I put a lot more weight on would be this guy right here, just using the dildo bodies, which you can see is getting it a little bit more precise. And if we actually even close anywhere above about 11,850, that will look like we've actually broken this guy to the upside. Now, the counterpoint with both of these is I fucking hate diagonals. I really dislike diagonals, and I really dislike trading off them because there's a lot of arbitrariness. Arbitrariness, is that even a word? I don't fucking know. But there's a lot of arbitrare with it, and my point is that a small change in where you kind of link these guys up is going to account for a massive change in price action. So I've kind of done a little bit of a regression line here, and when it is about $200 away, which it kind of is right now, that's probably fine. It's probably okay. But if things were to get really close, like maybe we came down and closed around 11.9 to end the day, that wouldn't be good enough for me. While it technically would be above, it's too close to cut it, and that's why I really dislike these diagonals, because they're just less precise than, like, say, a horizontal, which we have a very obvious area to kind of be plotting horizontals here. In fact, it is a little bit concerning to me that I don't see any horizontals lining up with our current level right here, or sorry, this level that would be lining up with this diagonal right here. I suppose you could say lining up with this rejection right here, but I don't really see the structural relevancy of it actually. So I'd have to say this one is a little bit prototype, a little bit of risk involved, and that's also why I just really dislike those guys. Anyways, more importantly, all of the tentacles, lining up on the same side. So I put more weight on that, but this would be, price action way of doing it, which, fair enough. I know a lot of people out there like to trade like that, and that's, if you can make money like that, then 100%. Anyways, looking at daily RSI, we actually do see daily RSI looking very constructive here. The thing is that usually after spending a long time away from the bullish control zone, it actually will get rejected from it on the first pass. But I think that we actually already saw that a couple of days ago right on over here and just got picked up, and it's just strong right now. But if we could actually confirm into the bullish control zone, that would also look damn good to actually carry this one onwards and upwards. So again, I'm just describing all the things that I'm looking for to happen to really keep up my bullish bias essentially. Because it's still a little bit of a waiting game right there, but not quite confirmed as of just yet. Anyways, back on the lower time frames, like I said, as long as Bitcoin's above this blue box territory right here, or even the yellow 20 month exponential moving average, you want to be a little bit more conservative with it. I'd have a short term, medium term, and long term and macro term bullish bias, but more importantly, just short and medium term, which is going to drive and lead on into those higher time frames. Because of course, you got to start with the lower time frames first. But looking at this and looking at our 4 hour Stokes, look at what's happening right now. We are actually looking across the upside right at the edge of, right at the neutral zone right here, which would be a pretty damn good signal. But I really want to see this line up with the 1 through 4 hour. So not just 4 hour, but the 1 through 4 hour. When those guys all line up with each other, usually that's enough to propel the momentum into the higher time frames, like a time frame that actually matters, like a 12 hour or a daily. And looking at the 3 hour, are we up right here? We are. 3 hour? Where are you? There is none. There is none. There it is. Yes, we are up on the 3 hour, which has been pretty damn good at getting the moves actually. The 2 hour is. Come on, 2 hour. There you are. You're up as well. And what about the hourly? Hourly is up as well. So we're actually seeing all of them follow through with each other. So we really are seeing some some good things here. But price action does need to maintain on the lower time frames above about 11.8 pivot. You could say the whole blue box territory right here, and I'd say that's technically correct. You can see that obviously the hourly 89 exponential moving average, the cyan moving average, is governing all the lows thus far. So if you want to be more conservative, you could just wait until we actually take out just one of the prior lows and that'll kind of destroy it. But for right now, it looks fine to me. It looks good. Kind of in the in no man's land right here. But looking at me like we're kind of preparing for another test to the upside resistance right around 12.3. Our last little rejection from 6th of August, just a couple days ago. Anyways, okay, cool. So we spoke about all of that. I think it is worthwhile to actually talk about the 4 hour once again, just because there is a lot of things to be aware of right here, and a lot of people have been asking me questions about this, but. And I don't want to go through the whole fucking kit and caboodle with this because I've done it, too many times over the last few, over the last couple of weeks. So I don't want to bore people with this. But just talk about the 4 hour right here. There's a couple of big things that I'm looking at. And if you want the full on, the full on experience with all the examples, go check out my last video that I uploaded into the long term analysis playlist, which was done this Sunday. Usually I spend like a little bit more time doing a little bit more of a deep dive into that playlist if you ever want to do like the full mental masturbation. But looking at this right here on the 4 hour and just looking at these three moving averages, which the green and the purple are the 50 and 200 exponential moving average moving averages respectively, and then we have the white 200 moving average right on over here. And we see a very and I've noticed a very distinct pattern over time, and that is when we see the golden cross on the 4 hour digital time frame right on over here during an overall macro uptrend, which this is certainly very much an overall macro uptrend. We typically see about from death cross to golden cross. And sorry, let me explain this whole thing through because it's really fucking important. I know it's boring for the people who've been here for a while, but it is really fucking important. Okay. So I went through all of the death crosses and golden crosses, which is between the 50 and the 200 exponentials, on the 4 hour digital time frame, in the past prior general upwards markets, and I found that on average it takes about 2 weeks from death cross to get golden crossed once again. And typically the damage done for price action is pretty variable actually, but usually it's between about 10 and 20%. And you'll notice right here we took about 2 weeks between this death cross right here on the 22nd of July and the golden cross right on over here just a few days ago on the 4th of August. So about 2 weeks, so it's in line with that. Then not only that, but we actually do see the move to the downside pretty much concurrent with what you expect as well, based upon the past prior history. So what does that tell us? It tells us that it's still essentially operating, in a relatively similar manner. In fact, this one would literally be par for the course. It's like right in the fucking middle as far as these go. Anyways, more importantly than that, I also found that from those past death crosses to golden crosses, after the golden cross to the next high before the next death cross was put in, usually on average average was doing about 100% gain. So literally a 2x from that price point. So in this case, it would be a 2x from this area right here at about 10,300-ish region. So that'd put us about 20,600, which now I'm just starting to sound like a fucking moon boy, like crazy. Jesus Christ. Anyways, this is important though. And this is the truth. And yes, some of those were variable. Some were around 50%. Some were actually like well above 100%, like 170%. Some one even 400%. But more importantly, over the long period of time, the big news here is that it would lead to an uptrend for the next few months at the very least. Typically, at least 2 months, and usually about 3 to 3.5 months before the next major top was put in, and then the next subsequent death cross was put in, where you play out the kind of cycle again. Anyways, so with regards to that, we did get the golden cross running over here. Price action, it seems to be respecting it as long as we're above the yellow 20 exponential moving average, which we pretty much just caught wind of in the overnight hours, was pretty damn good. So I'd say that as long as that holds up, there's no real reason to think that this is a fake out, in my opinion, especially as long as we're above the 21. Key point. If we lose the 21, certainly not a death sentence. It's not even all that bad. As long as we're above the 200 simple and 200 exponential moving average, it's more or less fine to me. That brings me to my next point. After we get the golden cross on average, not on average, but every single time in the past that we've gotten the golden cross, we actually did come down and test the 200 simple or 200 exponential, one or the other, at least once. And usually that was like the last kind of major chance for a big buy before the blast off, if you want to call it that. And so that is something that I'm kind of keeping my my own eye on, as I will be, I'll probably add on a little bit if and when that does happen. I don't really have a real major need to add. This is my streamer account right here, so I really don't want to be putting on major positions like bigger than this. I'm already uncomfortable with the size that it's gotten to. I'd rather be taking money out of this account than fucking leaving it on here. So I think that's probably what I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to be adding on that. I have no real reason to. There's no real reason to get greedy on over here. Now, most of my position is covered, to be fair, with options, but they're gonna be uncovered in about a little bit more than 24 hours. So I'm gonna be massively long once again. And I think I have a little bit of long exposure right now. Let me actually check my deltas. I have about 5 deltas right now, so I'm pretty much covered for the most part. I have some sort of a stop loss here, which is completely irrelevant, so get rid of that. Anyways, back onto the price action. So my point is that, if I am looking for that next position, I probably will. I probably will add around there on my main account. But, just tentatively speaking, but, again, that I believe has happened every time. Maybe there's one time where it did not happen, where it didn't actually come down and test that. It usually took about sometime between the golden cross and about a week after, where it actually did come down and test. But that's a little bit less exact. More importantly, and why I have these 3 moving averages on right here, is to, Jesus Christ, man, what the fuck? I'm looking at the Discord right now, and someone just spammed like the fucking Veronica indicators. Anyways, Jesus Christ, man, could you not do that there? My God. Anyways, looking at this, I also noticed that when you get the golden cross or death cross moving averages all above the white 200 simple on the same time frame, that's when the real momentum really started to propel price action and really started to move in the upwards direction. So as you can see right here, we do have the 50 exponential moving average above the white 200 simple, but we don't necessarily have the 200 exponential moving average above the white 200 simple just yet. It will be happening as long as Bitcoin essentially just remains above 11,000, and probably happens within the next 3 days, probably less than 3 days, maybe 2 days. Of course, if Bitcoin takes a major leg up here, then yes, they're going to cross a lot more fast. But assuming that Bitcoin kind of grinds out this area a little bit more, puts in some time going sideways between about 11.5 and 12.5, probably still like a couple days, 2 to 3 days, I'd say. So yes, that's when the actual momentum really does start to pick up, so to speak. So putting all these puzzle pieces together in line with the higher time frames, I would say that overall this price action, one, looks very, very constructive. It's also, it's corrective and constructive, both good things. Corrective implying that's a corrective move after a nice uptrend. So it's a healthy consolidation essentially, and then constructive just because the structure overall looks damn good. Just looking at the just putting on my drawing tools right here, you can see that to the downside, if Bitcoin were to break down here, which I'm not saying that it's going to, and I don't think it's going to. But if it were to break down here, the reason why this is constructed, because now we have so much fucking supports to chew through before anything on the macro really changes. I mean, shit, man, for me to get actually bearish on this asset, for me to actually be looking for, price action, I mean, shit, even just into the lower 9,000s, but realistically like 8,500, maybe even lower than that, like 75, would have to take out this blue box right here at 94, 9,500. This is why this price action right here was so fucking important when we were grinding it up. But remember, all of the momentum oscillators were starting to turn to the upside around that time as sentiment was at a fucking super massive low. So usually when you get that sort of perfect storm of underlying market dynamics kind of agreeing with the technicals, that's a trappy area as fuck, and that's exactly what we got running over here. Massive trap initiated, and now we get to accelerate to the upside as the stairway to heaven has been initiated. So looking pretty damn good. Anyways, okay, we spoke all about that. Lower time frames as well. If we did see a 4-hour total close anywhere above this blue box territory right here, I'd say that would be probably good enough for me as well to be looking for the higher time frames to really take over. And then we could talk about some moon boy targets. So I threw out the number 20,000 earlier. We could actually look at this as a massive flag here. Does it work as a flag? Volume signature would be concurrent with that, would actually agree with that. Does the price action agree with that? More or less, yeah, I'd say it's fine. So that means that we could likely make a measure move based on this, and I'm going to do a very crude attempt at one right now. This is not the scientific way of doing it, but it would suggest a move. It would imply a move somewhere around about 17,000-ish region, give or take a few bucks, depending upon where you kind of judge the outbreak. But more importantly, first and foremost, we need to actually confirm above this region, and then we can start talking about some moon boy targets. And there will, it's not just going to be straight there or anything like that. I saw someone in the Discord earlier say, are we going to 16,000 now, or are we having any pullbacks? Like, both. Probably both. It's going to take its time, man. This market doesn't operate, the snap of fucking fingers right there. But, it takes its time. Bitcoin is a little bit generous with the way that it kind of plays out these very fast moves. But keep in mind that, when we're talking about the macro, it's naturally going to take its time. So yes, I do think that, we have a legitimate way of getting to some pretty, crazy numbers now. Not so crazy. I mean, it's still within range, to be fair. when you look at the whole picture and just get rid of everything on the right side, the whole price list, you can see that this is, pretty stock standard, really, actually. But yeah, would kind of line up with that and kind of this prior rejection from January 2018. Which, if you remember right on over here, this was a massive bull trap. It got a lot of people very, very nastily. Anyways, okay, cool. So we spoke about all of that. Let's go check out CMEs, see if CMEs are doing anything differently right now. CMEs are actually well above 12,000, actually, just due to their premium. CMEs had a very good daily total close. In fact, just retesting support, passing with flying colors right on over here, and accelerating to the upside right after that. If we even just take out yesterday's daily total high at 12,330 on CMEs, which do have about a $200 premium right now, then I'd say that would probably also be good enough for me to look for a continuation here. And from like a short-term perspective, I'd be looking for continuation up till the next major resistance, like right here at about 12.8. That'd probably put spot somewhere around like 12.5, 12.6 maybe. I don't have like a full-on way of getting that. Well, we could actually just judge it from this area right in over here now, can't we? So yeah, it'd put us around about 12.6. Hey, there you go. Not bad, right around 12.6 region. Anyways, back on to CMEs. Do we have anything else to be aware of right in over here? We do see daily Stoke still very much headed up. What about 2-day? I think 2-day are a little bit less important on this one, but straight up to the sky as well. And whoops, did I hit the right button there? No, I did not. All right, there we go. And on the lower time frames, looks constructive within this region nonetheless. Looks like it's actually just getting reaccumulated right here, and we do see our momentum oscillators actually looking like they want to hint to the upside on this next closure, which is going to happen in the next 2 hours and 47 minutes and 35 seconds, as we do see historical volatility percentile start to tick up once again. But this is pretty much the same thing as what we looked at on spot as well. So I'd say that lower time frames are looking more or less good. Not to kind of talk in circles there, but I just want to kind of pull everything full circle. Anyways, let's go over check out GBTC right now. GBTC at 1497. It's already closed for the day. GBTC not looking as strong as our other corollaries. But looking at the daily, how do we close the day? I mean, the daily looks nasty actually. The daily looks pretty fucking nasty here. I don't really know what to make of the daily right here actually. We do see daily Stokes, or sorry, this is 2-day. Let's go to the daily. 2-day Stokes are crossing the upside. Daily Stokes are very much to the upside as well. Yeah, daily looks a little bit better here. We do see that it looks to me like the the yellow 21 and the red 10 symbol want to cross the upside, and we're being supported right now with price action. It's gonna really depend on how we open up tomorrow. But if we even take out just today's daily little high at $15.50, I'd say that'd probably be good enough for me for resolution to the upside, and we're gonna get these two moving averages crossing the upside as well. It'd start to look pretty damn good. And of course, that's just gonna make the weekly look like actual continuation. You know, painting a green dildo, and there's really not too much stopping it from, you know, the prior high at 17.25. So not really getting too much off that chart, but it pretty much agrees with what we're looking at on our other on our other Bitcoin charts right over there. Yeah, 4 hours really not helping too much here. 4 hour would be a little bit more on the bear side, I suppose. We do have bearish divergence right here, and yeah, kind of getting rejected from this resistance trend line as well, but less precise as other charts. I'd go with the other ones right now just because they're kind of agreeing with each other. Let's go check out gold for a second, because gold and Bitcoin seem to be quite correlated, and gold got the massive breakout. In fact, it's actually hit our long-term measured move all the way to 1513 region. I had it right at 1513. We got up to 1510.5. I'd say that's close enough for me, and looking pretty damn good. And I do think that longer term there probably is some more upside here. I mean, realistically, the next major pivot on the market is actually all the way at like 1570ish region, but we just hit this measure move right here, and I'd imagine that on first pass probably does incite a lot of bot and algos to take profits there. Maybe come back down to like 1450, 1460, and then try to extend the move a little bit more. But all higher time frames still look fine to me. All, you know, monthly still looks massively bullish to me. I think this one still has some room, and because this one is positively correlated with Bitcoin, which we can prove with the correlation coefficient, I'd say that this, you know, likely to just add to the bullish case for Bitcoin as well, as we do see in the purple histogram down at the bottom right and over here, a positive correlation actually on the monthly. But let's check out the weekly. The weekly has a massive positive correlation, in fact almost at a 90 read right now, which is pretty much almost 1-to-1. I mean, that's fucking phenomenal. So yes, it's looking good. It's what you expect to see. Let's go check out Bitcoin dominance, because I don't really want to look at all the fucking different shitcoins, but if we look at Bitcoin dominance right on over here, we do see that it's actually still trending the upside. No, this is a weekly. Let's go to a daily. Daily looks like it wants to break to the upside. This looks fucking strong, man. I was not expecting this one to break it on this attempt right here. Fine, fair enough. This is why I'm long-term bullish on this thing. This thing is still massively bullish on the weekly and the monthly, even though it is kind of approaching these massive resistances. But on the monthly macro resistance, right around 72%, which is still quite a bit higher than where we are right now. So I would say that this is likely to imply that we see some more hurt on alts. Altcoin season postponed. Well, I won't say it. Never mind. I won't say it. Anyways, let's go over and check out the other two top shitcoins. Everyone's favorite one, Mr. Butyrol. Let's see. How's Mr. Butyrol doing right on over here? Yeah, I really don't like the way that it's kind of taken out yesterday's daily total low. I don't like what it's doing right here. This one's very difficult to get. If I was just looking at Mr. Butyrol, I would be bearish on him. The only reason why I shudder away from being bearish on Mr. Butyrol and looking for a move back down to like 205, 206, 210 region is because Bitcoin is strong right now. And Bitcoin, you know, does Bitcoin have the strength to carry the rest of the market? It has in the past. So I do have a hard time going against, being bullish on one and then bearish on another one, especially when it's, you know, a part of the top 3 or even the top 10 or anything on the first page of Coin Shitcap. You know, and Mr. Butyrol right here looks fucking terrible. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this is a god awful chart. But if Bitcoin does break to the upside, I can't be bearish on this. Looking at weekly doesn't look good. Looking at daily doesn't look good. Looking at 4 hour looks okay maybe for another move back up to 235, 234. But Jesus Christ, man, I guess I have to go with Bitcoin's moves, because that has been the trend in the past that it's going to likely follow Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin does break to the upside here, I'd be looking for Mr. Butyrol to get back to like 235 region. Mrs. Litecoin, how's she doing? What's this beautiful bitch doing over here? And we see still holding up valiantly above the purple true non-expansion moving average, but really starting to tighten up this area quite a bit. In fact, we do see a very obvious symmetrical triangle kind of forming up right here. I guess I already have it in there. And we keep on fucking around with the downside support of it, but being bought up once again is fine. We as long as we're closing daily totals above the 200 exponential moving average, which is $87, I'd say there's no real reason to be like super bearish on this or anything. I'll tell you this: I don't think it looks the most healthy of all time, but that doesn't matter. You know, again, if that doesn't matter, of course it fucking matters. But what matters more is what I'm trying to say is Bitcoin's momentum and Bitcoin's movement. If Bitcoin takes this next leg up here, I have a very hard time believing believing that any of the alts are going to see a hit versus US dollar. They'll probably see a massive hit versus Satoshis, as we looked at in the dominance chart, but versus US dollar, probably fine. It probably does catch one of that, and you'd probably see Mrs. Litecoin work her way back up. Ultimately, I'd be looking back up towards 115 to 120-ish region, but right now, really kind of stuck in the dumps right here as she resolves her shit out. But I do have faith in her. Mrs. Litecoin, you can pull through there, you beautiful bitch, you. But still, man, that, you know, this is a tough one, but I would use the 200 exponential moving average as long as we're closing daily doles above there. No real reason to be like super bearish or anything like that. And we can make a measured move on this, and it would point back up if we do break to the upside. You know, concurrently, likely with Bitcoin, it'd point it back up to about 112, 113. To the downside, it would point all the way down here, actually towards 75.5 bucks. Basically that last spike low. So I really like the symmetry there. But more importantly, like I said, like just a better idea to kind of keep your eye on Bitcoin. Anyway, speaking of, let's go back to Mr. Bitcoin. Well, let's wrap this bitch up and then send this one out because it's almost a daily dollar close. 4 hour looking good so far. Remember to kind of wrap this bitch up. We do see all lower time frame oscillators kind of getting on the same side. Here's a 4 hour, 3 hour, 2 hour, 1 hour, all up. Jesus Christ, crazy. And actually, we even see the hourly Jewel giving a little bit of a buy signal here, although not the kind of buy signal that I like to take, but some more cavalier players will take those. Then looking at the daily and just looking at the daily right here, structure wise, technically we could actually confirm above this diagonal, although I'm more hesitant to kind of call this one a major breakout just based off of that, but you know, would be on the overall positive side. And then more importantly, what this is going to have lead on over into is the 2-day and the 3-day, which the 2-day already looking pretty damn strong. We see 2-day Stokes extremely painfully erect right here, and 3-day Stokes, which will confirm actually at the end of the hour right now. So hopefully I can get this video out in time. If we do see the 3-day Stokes confirm the upside, it doesn't mean that I'm immediately looking for the next major move to the upside. I'm just looking for things to generally float in that direction. Tentatively speaking, on the lower time frames, going back on over here to BitMEX before I actually fully wrap this one up, I'd be short-term, medium-term bullish as long as we're above this blue box territory at about 11,650, basically the yellow 21 exponential moving average. If we did lose that, it's not bearish, is not the right word, but I'd be looking for some downside at the very least to 11,150, and then probably down here towards 10,9. But I'm not really looking for that to happen. I think that Bitcoin gives another test up into this region, which is more interesting because if Bitcoin actually does break this region, you know, 12.4, 12.5, then at, you know, more in the short term, I'd be looking for another move back on over here towards 13.2. And then a little bit more medium term, maybe back towards the prior high at about almost 14,000. And then longer term, we saw the measure move somewhere right around 16, or sorry, was it 16? No, 17. It was 16 or 17,000, whatever the fuck it was, maybe 17,000. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. Hope this one serves you well, and I'll be back on tomorrow with some more video and live stream analysis. Looking forward to seeing you there. As always, wish you well, and take care.